I'm the Midwest chapter lead of HSCRF. In my day job, I'm professor of management at Lake Forest Graduate School. Let me introduce today's holistic science expert. Dr. Sailesh Mehta, or we call him Dr. Sailesh Anandji, is a practicing ophthalmologist who owns a hospital in Vadodara, India. From his childhood, he was curious about deeper truths of life. He came in touch with self-realized holistic scientist Sri M. Patel, and through his grace, Dr. Mehta attained self-realization in 1977. Dr. Mehta is a celibate and is deeply experienced in the field of holistic inner science. He devotes his time to studying, researching, and spreading the message of holistic inner science. In his quest to spread the message of holistic science, he has traveled to countries such as USA, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. His speeches on holistic science have been well received at national and international conferences. He is the author of several books which include Introduction to Holistic Science and Integral Living and Science of Liberation. Welcome, Sailesh Anandji.
So my hearty greetings to all of you across the world, and technology is making us feel that we are really one and interconnected. Okay. So
welcome. And last time we talked about the power of speech and art of science and communication. As Sailesh Anandji pointed out last time, this is a vast subject, and so we will continue discussion about it. I want to get started with asking you a question about speech. Holistic science says that our speech is tape recorded. Can you please explain and elaborate on that?
Sure, Manish Bhai. But before I really go to answering the core of that question, for the benefit of the people, let's summarize the art and science of communication or speech in brief. I think that would be in place. So since time immemorial, various people, maybe spiritual, maybe scientists, maybe philosophers, or maybe even common man, have been trying to understand the communication or speech part, because all of us very well know and experience that word is the world. One good word and everything gets well aligned. One word out of place and everything, very hard work, may get haywire, including our relations, our workplaces, and everything. So the word as a means of communication is world, and one has to be knowing well about that part to be successful in life, in so to say, to have the happy, harmonious, meaningful, and positive living for oneself as well as in the interconnected living. Now here, the first thing, our ancient rishis, especially the Vedantic tradition, they were trying to understand where is the origin of the word and what's the quality or nature of the word, whether it belongs to conscious part or whether it belongs to the part of the matter. And they were trying to say that Om or Pranav mantra, that's where the conscious begins. But the holistic scientists clarified that though there is a presence of pure conscious or conscious, the word is not the property of the conscious in itself, but it's the property of the matter. And it can be aptly proved because wherever there is friction of matter, even in a horn, you get a voice. Or even when the speech is tape recorded, there is no conscious into that, but then it does speak. So the speech or communication is the property of the matter part, but in case of living beings, especially we humans, it comes out in presence of conscious, and there we want to know how it is being formed or formulated. Now, before we go into the details of how the speech is formed or formulated or how does it come out at the time of instance or event, also let's understand that what are the qualities of the speech which are beneficial or harmful to us as well as to others. And we know that as long as our speech is non-hurting to others, as long as it is trying to resolve the situation or explain and understand the situation amicably, it's good for us as well as for others, and it works well. But no sooner it becomes hurting or we get into some conflict or clashes or disadjustment or lack of harmony, and we try may not be to express but diplomatically or sometimes overtly I think, Kaushal, you need to shut off your mute it because I'm getting the echo back from your computer. Sorry for that. So as long as we have the inner or outer clash or conflict or lack of adjustment, sometimes we try not to express it as it is or be diplomatic, but still the tint of the or stinge of the thing comes in our words, our communication, and the things go uh, non-harmonious, or the other fellow may become non-cooperative. So here I wish that my speech should be concise, it should be loving to others, it should be loved by others, it should be beneficial to others, and it should be a truthful speech. So, but why then we don't get such type of speech? So here is your question, that so many times we decide that I'll speak in particular fashion, I'll communicate with Manish by like this on this particular issue. I prepare myself, but no sooner I enter into conversation, maybe within moments or within minutes something else comes out, and I feel that why at all I should have talked like that, or even sometimes I express to my closer friends. So here is a science, that am I independent about my speech which is coming out? And when I say my speech which is coming out, we also need to know that the speech is inner and outer speech. There is a lot of things always going on within our inner self, and the holistic scientist says that 7/8 part of the speech remains inside and only 1/8 comes out. But leaving aside that, now even though I had decided, why then it happens so? So here is the question, that am I independent about my speech which is coming out? And the holistic science says that you are not really when it is coming out. Why? If it would have been, if you would have been independent, the words would not be coming out the way you do not want them to come out. So here, why and how? So it says that the speech comes out of the, it's a sort of tape recorded thing. And no sooner the event occurs, the tape record starts. Well, we'll go into detail whether we can modify and how we can modify, but before that, let's understand what happens whenever there is some event going on. Immediately my things come out based on what? Based on my code words. What is this code words? What do we mean by these code words? Suppose we are 4 or 5 people sitting and discussing, or some event is happening. The code words of all of us are different. Somebody has a code word. Let's talk silently. Let's listen first. Somebody has a code word. No, I should be upfront and tell everybody clearly and truthfully, and I don't mind anybody. I don't bother about anybody, may it be my boss, or I tell them on face. So you must have heard the people saying, expressing out their code words and taking pride about that. So these code words are my previous beliefs based on whatever understanding I had. I have generated the code words. Maybe that I should tell upfront on face, maybe I should tell the truth always, maybe whatever the cost I may have to, or whatever the consequences I may have to undergo, or I may have the code words that let me be quiet and peaceful, and if the other people believe, it's well and good, otherwise it's their responsibility. So whatever these inner beliefs, they have generated the code words in presence of pure self or the conscious. There's a very beautiful science going on, and here I'm going into little depth of this science, Manish ji, because as I move across the world, there are many people who are really interested. Yes, all the science may not be proved by laboratory, but the people are now trying to understand. And if you see the website Science and Scientist and Bhaktivedanta Muni and a lot of the people, they're trying to understand what really is going on within at various levels, conscious and matter and prakriti and all this. So that's why I'm going little into depth. On one side, I'm trying to touch upon the aspects which can be helpful in common day-to-day living. On the other side, I'm trying to sort of touch upon the basic depth of the science. So in presence of pure conscious, whatever understanding I have at given time, I generate my codes inside in the form of beliefs that, okay, I should be like this or I should be like this. Now, before being introduced to this holistic science, I had different codes that I don't care for anybody. It is my way or highway. I'll speak out whatever I feel like. Now, after introduction to holistic science, now my code words are changed. That no, let my speech or even the mind, speech and body not hurt any living being, and let my speech, even if somebody speaks harsh or hurtful language, let me speak or reply in soft and sober language. But still my speech comes out based on the previous beliefs or previous codes, because that machinery has been sort of pre-programmed, and no sooner the event occurs, it just jumps in. If I'm not aware, here my awareness and my present resolution may help me to calm down my previous codes, or to modify, or to clarify, or cleanse up my previous codes. But still, all of we experience that no sooner the event occurs, it jumps up, and that's what we say, that's personality trait, that this is the personality of Manish Bhai, this is the personality of Rajni Bhai, and this is the personality of Mayan, or personality of Shailesh, that it is being expressed differently. So this is how the holistic science says that speech is sort of tape record, and it's all like a recorded thing. But here, let me clarify one more thing. It is not tape recorded word by word, that it has to come out like this. The recording is a concise coding, and from the coding on the event, it unfolds, becomes shorthand, and then the speech comes out. So that's why there is some scope that if I'm aware, if I about my codes, the code may come out, let me tell upfront, but my present awareness and understanding will tell me, well, wait, let me put it in such a way that nobody is hurt. And that's how the inner transformation or inner change can occur. But otherwise, for most of the people and for the world at large, it just comes out, and the people doesn't know why it happens, even though I had decided to talk like this. So this is how it's a recorded thing, or a tape record. It's said is a tape record. And another beautiful part of the tape record, as I understand for myself, that okay, at times I am not able to control or be independent of what comes out. I have also to understand that when somebody is talking to me, and this is most of the times we just get hurt by the words. The people may be otherwise cordial, helping, loving, but something comes out, some words, and we just get shut off. As not independent about the speech part, and for them also it is a recorded thing. So if tape record is saying me something good or bad, I don't get affected much. So if that understanding and awareness works for me, that for other people also it's a sort of coded and sort of tape recorded thing, and they are really not independent, totally independent, but they are instrumental where when they are speaking, I would not be hurt or affected, or I can sort of understand it in a proper perspective. Is that good enough for your question to begin with? And as the questions come, we will go in more details. Manish Bhai?
I think it explains, it answers.
So
it answers the question that was raised earlier. A follow-up question to that is, supposedly I have like code words that are harsh. So, my speech is harsh, and I want to change it over time. So what are some remedies suggested by holistic inner science? So once I'm aware that the speech that's coming out is not proper, or it's harsh, what can I do to make it softer and maybe more amicable over time?
Yes. Very good question, and very pertinent question, I would say. So as we try to understand and answer that, my first point is I'll be observant, or try to be aware about my mind, speech, and body. So the first step the holistic science gives is, let's try to observe how your speech affects other people throughout the day. Most of the times I'm looking that I'm right. Why should not I tell this? I have conveyed correctly. But I have not seen that how it has affected my wife, how it has affected my children, how it has affected my colleagues, whether it has served the purpose or it has done other way. I want my wife to understand me, but my wife says, mind your business, I'm going away. I'm not going to be with you. So it has not really served the purpose. I want my colleagues or my underhands at work to work in harmony or understand. But no, the way I am speaking, on the face they look good, but no sooner I turn back, they say, okay, the boss is crooked. Let him do whatever he wants to do. So first is try to observe what effects it is causing on the other people. No sooner I see that and understand the effects. See, in a relative world, it is not absolute right or it is not absolute wrong. It's a relative truth. So first and foremost, holistic science says that have the thermometer or parameter that this should be non-hurting to the others. If you want to get work done well, or if you want to live harmoniously for yourself as well as for others. Now, no sooner I understand that, okay, even though I'm right, even though my intention, many times people say, I had good intentions, but I don't know why the other people don't understand me well. Well, only the intentions don't count. The speech itself is expression of ego. The holistic science says that no sooner you speak, your ego is going to be reflected into that. People say, I believe this. I believe this is not the only part. Let's try to understand what the other person believes. Humanity is one which takes care of the viewpoints of the others. And if I cannot take the cognizance of the viewpoint of the others, my speech is not going to be correct one. So this is how, having understood, now I work with myself. So my first resolution in the morning is let my mind, speech and body not hurt any living being to the slightest extent. Now to take it further and to help it further, holistic science in all has given 9 codes as my inner decisions, resolves and projections, out of which one is pertaining to this communication or speech part. There I'm asking that, O pure self or O supreme self or whomsoever I believe into, please give me such an inner strength that I will not speak harsh or hurtful language or biting or language of rivalry to any living being. And even if somebody speaks harsh or hurtful language or language of rivalry, give me the strength so that I can reply in the soft, sober language. If my understanding goes furthermore, I'll decide that in any given situation, there can be many viewpoints, but everybody is right by his or her own viewpoint. So I decide to resolve the situation amicably with equanimity. And we have all the right to discuss, persuade, lovingly, caringly, friendly, but no right to become insistent or adamant. That I am right in itself leads to a lot of problems. If I become insistent that I am right, the problems start. So once I decide, my inner understanding starts changing. Based on this inner understanding and my resolve, my awareness becomes functional, that I become mindful about what is being spoken throughout the day. And whenever the things come out other way, it is hurting or it's biting or I have insistence or have adamancy or my ego gets reflected, my awareness will tell me that, oh, this is not correct, this is the mistake. So I have the mechanism to cleanse it, that from within, I'll say that, okay, I connect or see or bow to the pure self in Manish Bhai, which is totally separate from mind, speech, body, name and name belonging attachments and all the material karmic bonds. And my speech has hurt Manish Bhai, so I beg pardon from within and decide not to speak in this way again. So my first is my observation about my speech, how it is affecting others, whether it is working well, whether it's serving the purpose or it is spoiling the purpose. Second is my resolves in the morning and again being repeated throughout the day. Third is my mindfulness, and whenever the speech goes wrong, I keep on correcting, not only mechanically or doing the apology, confession, apology and resolution, but trying to put the new understanding that the old code words were based on my old understanding. That was a folk belief that if somebody tells you something, you should tell 2 words. If somebody speaks 1, you should reply 2 words. So next time he will not dare to speak. But now my present understanding is different. That, oh no, this is not the way. I should be trying to resolve it in loving way, something like that. So with the correct understanding of the holistic inner science, I'll try to work upon the previous beliefs. In other words, I'll try to work upon my previous personality or previous codes in light of this, my new holistic visions or understanding. And this is how my old code words will get cleansed from within. They can be mellowed down, they can be cleaned, and they can be totally transformed also, because now I have new vision, new understanding, and that can create the world, new world within, and subsequently the new world outside. So these are, I think, 3 or 4 steps which I can take to correct my speech. And if we see the speech of the holistic scientists, I think you will be interested to, if I discuss that part, because we should have somebody to look upon that, oh, they are also humans, and how come their speech is so lovable, so effective, so touching the heart and serving the purpose. So the holistic scientists, where the height is the absolute ones, we say Tirthankaras or whatever you label, and the holistic science is the next step from within. They have no opinions for anybody. They are loving, they see themselves, they feel that I'm one with the world. So their heart is totally pure. They have always only one code word, that whatever bliss I have, how one and all can achieve such happiness, harmony, bliss, and path of liberation throughout the world. So with this code word of common welfare of mankind as a whole, and with this sort of heart, their speech always comes, which is sea sky different from our speech. No tint of egoism, no tint of wanting something, but always compassionate, loving, and always wishing for the welfare of others. That code word itself gives them all the qualities. And they have the second adjoining code word, that let my speech not only hurt any living being, but not even slightly sort of get into conflict with any viewpoint of any living being. So with this subtle code words, they have excellent qualities of the speech. And if someone is conversant with the scriptural description, the speech or communication or the thing which is coming out from the Tirthankaras or the absolute ones, they have 34 extraordinary qualities which no human on the planet can have. And their speech is so sweet, so consistent. All the humans, not only humans, but all the living beings, including animals, they understand in their own language, or it goes through their heart. It can remove the covering layers, and it can touch the heart or conscious to make them understand the truth for them, their own benefit. And there are so many qualities. So why I keep that as my goal or as my flag? Because looking at that, I have my way and I have my awareness, and I know that where am I in my journey. So it keeps me going, that okay, I need to have the speech like this, though I cannot be like that, but at least my journey is towards that. And I can immediately see the mistakes which are being done at the level of communication, and I can immediately correct it. So from the speech which we most of us are having, why to go at a distance? Let's examine in our own home, between husband, wife, parents, children, between our colleagues throughout the day. And if somebody wants to have extra experiment, have the tape recorder in your pocket on. Don't bother about the power. Record for a full day, record for a week, and then you listen. Whether I myself love to listen my own speech, which has come out, and it gives me the chance of improvement. We surgeons do that. We record our own surgeries so that we can go back and see that where are the mistakes, so next time we don't make the mistakes again. You can go ahead, Manish bhai.
Yeah, this is wonderful, Sailesh Anandji. To first of all summarize some of the key points that we talked last about, and then elaborating on the speech as a tape record and the codes, and how can we alter those codes going forward, if there are things that we don't like. So we have a lot of questions from the audience. So we're going to proceed with our first question from the audience. Please state your name and where you're from, and go ahead.
Hello, Dr. Shailesh. This is Amita from New Zealand. So you gave a very good understanding about speech and code, and the solution also when we talk to individual. I have a question based on the experience. We know in certain situation or meet some people, we do have past experience where we had a hurtful feeling. Even a small word gives us a hurting feeling. So based on holistic science, what is the awareness one should have when they find in this situation, having the correct understanding of speech and code?
So here are the two aspects, Amitaji. When I am hurt and when my speech hurts others, right or wrong? In a given communication, when I am hurt in the sense when somebody is telling me something and I'm not able to accept the suggestions or sayings of the others, maybe my husband, my wife, my colleagues, or whosoever, and my inner machinery starts and jumps on to express something. So here, before expressing out what is coming up in my heart, it's always a limited understanding. I have come to know that when it comes out, I feel that, oh, this is the best understanding, this is correct, this is true. But when it comes out and when I see in an overall perspective, then I realize that, oh, this was my personality projection and it was not holistic understanding from the perspective of the other or from the perspective of all of the people. So this is still teaching me that try to understand others. So in a outer world, the people say listen first. So let's be a good listener. And we all are, not we all, but at least I am. I'm always keen on expressing out myself. Not. My machinery is very fast. Somebody before completes the sentence, I try to judge whatever one wants to say and try to respond or reply or react whatever you say. So this is where I have to understand my own machinery. That okay, let's wait and for understanding the other people, as well as if I wait and take a pause, my inner machinery has a chance to finish that product before it is being sent out of the factory. The raw product, even if it is completed without good packaging, is not sent out. That is what Mahan Bhai says in the marketing. Otherwise, it won't fetch the value. And even though the product is very good, the people will throw away because the finishing is not good. So this was on a humorous side. So whenever it is coming out, it's correct to my belief, it's correct to my understanding, but that's not all. I should try to understand the viewpoints of the others. And even if I'm not totally, I may not be in agreement, but still my expression should be such that, okay, I understand and I value your viewpoint or I value your suggestion, but somehow at the moment I feel that I may not be able to be part of it. If you allow me, I'll think over it and I'll try to see what best can be done. Something like that. I have right to not to get into it, but I don't have right to say that you are not correct. And when we say you are not correct, impliedly or indirectly, my speech is always going to be hurtful. So there are so many minor points, so many subtle points of understanding. The speech is not such thing. Yes, we have the resolve, we have the awareness, we have the cleansing process, but now we go to the extra point that speech is the sum total of my inner self, relative inner machinery of mind, reflective consciousness, intellect, ego, beliefs, opinions, everything, how it is working. The speech comes out as a sum total summary of the things going on inside. So I have to work with my inside, that what is the opinion I am having about Amita, what is the opinion I am harboring about Manish Bhai, what is my design, what are my insistences, it should be done this way, it must not be done this way, all this coupled together gives rise to speech. And that is where, when I decide that my speech should be non-hurting to others, I have to work as a whole on my inner self. Another beautiful aspect is coming to my mind when I'm discussing this, or we're discussing this. Before my speech becomes hurtful to others, have you noticed that it also becomes disturbing to us? Have you any time paid any attention that the words which are going to come aggressively or emphatically or whatever you say, it also affects us first? I have noticed that. So if I become aware that, oh, these words are disturbing me, it's making my face look frowned, and I don't like to take my selfie, or even if somebody takes my photograph, I'll not like that. So why? Because the things which is happening within and is going to come out does affect me also. So at least for my self-interest also, I should be working within that, oh, it should not be hurtful to me also inside. If I understand, it should not be hurtful to others also. And there is no situation in the world where I need to have a sort of hurtful speech or speech with arrogance or ego or whatever you say. Always there can be a way out where we can try to understand and discuss and resolve the situation amicably with equanimity. I hope that answers your question, Amitaji.
Yes, thank you.
Let's move to the second question from our audience. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead, Geeta Ben.
This is Geeta Desai from Houston, USA, retired geological consultant. I have a question to Dr. Swami about the speech. How to set the timing of our speech? Sometimes the thought processing is so fast, and when we are trying to explain ourselves, it doesn't say right thing, and in a split of second, the right speech comes out later on.
Yes, that's very correct, especially when we look at the dialogues between husband and wife, or dialogues going on our at own home with our near and dear ones. With the people who are little distance from us, maybe at job we may be more diplomatic because we understand that if I speak this way, the consequences will be whether maybe I lose the business, or maybe I may not have increment, or maybe my boss may harass me. So there the awareness of consequences does come to us and may sort of caution us, so that we may be slowing down. It's something like that, that if you see that the police is ahead, you may not speed up fast, or if you see that camera is there, you will obey the rules. But here at home, yes, and with near and dear ones, you don't see, you are not aware, we are not aware of the consequences, and so the inner machinery is being reflected or expressed outside. So yes, I do fully agree with you that most of the times it happens that if it comes out very fast, even before I can understand what can be the consequences on the other people, or the person with whom I am communicating. So, and later on I realized that, oh, this is not the correct, and that's how retrospectively or afterwards I correct myself. Or as you say, the correct speech may come out that I did not mean to say that, oh, but I mean to say like this, or something like that. Yes, it works. But here, what again and again, as I said, I'll try to be mindful for my own inner happenings, not only speech, but whatever is going on within. Second thing, as I said, I try to be mindful of what effect it will have on the other person. How would it affect the other person? No sooner I try to see what would be the effect on other person, it also tells me what would be the effect on myself. And that gives me time, or that makes me cautious to take little time and get the things right within before expressing it outside. If you take the time within for yourself, till you yourself are convinced about the situation and about the response you are going to give, I think that will solve most of the situations. But we do not take time with ourselves to see that whether it is going to be a proper response, and that's how it just works, that we respond or react very fast, especially husband wife. And as Amita ji was asking, and as I see for myself and for other people, no sooner the husband tells something to the wife, the wife's ego also comes up that I also understand. What do you understand? I have my understanding, and the battle starts. Pardon me if I'm using the word battle, but may not be battle for everybody, but most of the times a loving battle starts. And here I have to be watchful not only about my beliefs, my opinions, but my ego also. Most of the times it is ego which takes the receiver in the hand, that why he or she can tell me like this, or why he or she should be telling like this, and the response comes from the affected ego also. So these are all so many things involved within. So again and again, I have to decide in the morning, try to become mindful or aware of the things coming out before expressing. Try to take some time so that it becomes all right within, and then we uh, express. And here there is another beautiful thing, that what are the four qualities the communication should have. It should be concise. We go on repeating the same thing 10 times, trying to prove or trying to emphasize our saying, but it should be concise. It should be loved by others. It should be beneficial to others, not that I want to prove myself right. I should see whether it is serving the purpose, it is going to benefit the situation or the other people. Leave aside whether I am right or wrong, and it should be truthful. So I think with if we and one more thing, that if we realize that we lose lot of our inner energy by way of speech, when we speak unnecessary words, keep on speaking, whether it's required or not required, purposeful or purposeless. So holistic inner science says that use the speech carefully and economically. It's a leakage of inner energy of our self or pure self or Atman. Don't waste that energy if you really want to become blissful from within. So if I understand that I'm losing my energy, I'm losing my sort of inner stability whenever I'm speaking. One more, another important point, maybe fifth or sixth, as you are saying, Gita ji, what is
Haji.
intent of my speaking? If I can catch hold of, if I can be aware of my intent of speaking, whenever I'm replying or speaking, it would make a sea change. Because once I can see my intent, and if it is not correct, immediately I will correct my intent. That whether it
Yes.
is to whether it is to make the person do as I want to do, most of the times this is the way we are behaving or we are speaking. Tactfully, artfully, smartly, management people teach us, teach the people that if you want to sell yourself, if you want to get your work done, behave smartly like this. Yes, it is good in the outer world, but here I should be aware or mindful about my intent, whether I want to drive the other person according to the way I want him or her to do, or whether I'm just transparently expressing and discussing the thing. Most of the times I want other person to do according to I'm trying to drive the other person. So, or most of the times I'm trying to seek the importance for me, pride, trying to get the respect or recognition or maybe some sort of motives. As long as I have such motives or such intents, no matter how hard I try, even though I may be diplomatically sweet, but my speech may not be hearty speech, or it may not touch or convince or make the heart of the other person happy. It can only be done when I have the transparency and I have the intent that let me understand the other person and let my mind, body, and speech make one and all happy, or in other words, see the interest of the other people. Only when I can change my intents and understanding from within, the form of my speech and my action would be different. So, resolve, mindfulness, change of understanding, change of intents, taking a while before and seeing that the response becomes all right within before it comes out. These are, I think, 5, 6 points. And the American people love that 7 ways of improving speech and 7 habits of becoming successful. I am not in a position to label, but these are all interconnected things, I think. And Manish ji or Rajani bhai can label how many ways are there. But what I feel is this is interconnected or a holistic understanding which works whether you want to number them or you don't want to number them. Okay.
Yes. Okay. We can go on to the next question from the audience. Kaushal, go ahead.
Dr. Sailesh, that was a nice, deep understanding on speech. But my question is that when you are speaking with a clear intent with somebody, you have no malice in heart. You're speaking for their own benefit, of course, from your own point of view. But when you say something they don't like it, if you don't say something at the moment and you keep your mouth shut and you say afterwards, still they'll argue with you. Why did you not correct me at the right time? And if you try to correct them at the right time, they feel offended. So how do you use your speech at that time? Do you keep yourself quiet, or do you say something and accept what's the reaction going to be?
Yes, Kaushal, very good question. I think you are discussing this thing in text of your family situation, if I'm not wrong, first, and then maybe at the work. So here, am I right?
Yes.
Can I have the liberty to presume that first you are discussing in context of your good life partner?
Actually, that part is already okay because we both understand. But it's more in work and business side where you have to work with somebody or other family matters. With my better half, it's still an understanding, but with other family members, it gets tricky.
All right, very good. So, Kaushal, that's a very good point. In a human life in living, wherever we come into interaction or interconnected living with any human being, second human being, maybe a family member, maybe buyer seller, maybe professional service giver and service taker, or maybe work colleagues, whatever the scenario is. Something is happening and our inner machinery starts working that, oh, this is not appropriate, or this is appropriate, or it should be done like that, or it must be done like that, and it must not be done like that. Depending on my personality or my inner apparatus, it starts giving me the inner response or reaction, or it starts making noise. Now, the rule of expression, I think, is, as I already mentioned, that the ego gets involved into speech. So whenever I want to convey something, I have to become smaller than the other person within my heart. If I try to express as if I am more understanding more, I'm boss, I'm commanding, I'm authentic, no matter how right I am, the ego of other person will not allow him or her to accept my thing. So I have to become humble from within, smaller from within. I have to tell myself that, okay, friendly, I can do my duty of expressing. But before expressing, I'll see that the situation is somewhat quiet. The waters are not very turbulent or stormy. If the waters are very turbulent or stormy, I'll wait a while for it to become little quiet. Or I'll say the other person, would you mind if we discuss this point after half an hour or after 1 hour, after 1 hour or so? Let's take time. You also take some time. I also need some time, and we'll come back to this. We'll discuss this over a cup of tea or coffee after half an hour or 1 hour. Why a cup of tea or coffee? Because these external measures are also useful many a times to make the situation a little more workable, a little more harmonious, so that we can work out nicely. And at that time, I'll say, would you mind if I tell, or would you be happy if I tell what I feel about this? And if other person says, okay, why not? I like to know what you feel about it. Then we should express, and at the same time we should not say that you should do this or you should not do this most of the times if possible, but we should express it. This is what I feel, that if we do like this, the consequences may be like this. If we do like this, the consequences may be like this. So in a scientific way, I may try to put forward the various aspects or facets of the thing which are being reflected in my inner light. May not be necessarily I am able to see all facets, but the way I am able to see, I can put forward the things, and then ultimately I can say, you are the best judge. You can decide what you want to do. Unless it is a job situation where I am responsible to get the work done, then I can say that, okay, what is your feeling and what you want to say, and we can discuss the aspects and try to convince. Otherwise, ultimately say that, okay, you may be right, but I think for the time being, since I have the responsibility, please do this way. So by all means, I'll try to see that my ego doesn't show up, rather than my vision shows up in explaining or putting forward the things scientifically. I'll take the permission of the other person that, would you mind if I express what I can see about the things, and I'm ready to listen how you feel about the situation. If the time and patience allows us, we should first listen to the other person. Okay, tell me why and how you feel about, and how you came to this decision. Having understood that, I'll respond from my vision or perspective, and ultimately say that this is what I feel best and this is what I feel, but then let's see what best happens. So if this is the way, I think it will work good. But we neither have the patience, we can't leave our authority or sort of thing, and that's where I think the problems comes up. And boss is not always right. Boss is right in the outer world terminology, but boss may not be always right in when we look back in terms of overall natural system or scenario. Everybody has some vision, and if one is allowed to work in a good, harmonious, friendly way, one may come out with wonderful suggestions, insights, or visions, even though maybe on a smaller rank than us.
Thank you so much. That helped out a lot. Thank you again.
Okay. Wonderful. We have one last, we have time for one more question from the audience. Please go ahead.
This is Rajnikant Patel from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I'm a retired professional and a children's book writer. Shailesh Anandji, you have expounded lots of things which has awakened our minds and thoughts. And in this fast world, like you said, in our inner mechanism does not allow us to really think. And in a fraction of a second, our intellect goes into gear and try to respond. With that one, my question is, not question, but we have an aphorism. You can just try to expound on that, even though you talked about it. To speak is fault, and not to speak is double fault. So if you can, I know you talked about a lot of things, but if you can put it together, it'll be really helpful to us.
So this aphorism, to speak is a single fault, not to speak is a double fault. At the outset, it may like a crazy statement, at least to the outside world. But when it is put to the proper context and proper understanding, it makes a lot of sense. So to speak is a single fault. How? When I speak something which is hurting, which is offending, which is disturbing to the other person in my daily living aspects. So in my relative living aspects, maybe as a husband, wife, maybe as a parent, children, maybe as a colleagues, maybe at a workplace. In other words, related to my vyavahar part or a relative living part, when my speech is hurting, when my speech is faulty, then it's a single fault. But when I have some important duty, if I'm a father, and if my son or a daughter is going down the road, which I can see that will fracture his or her life and will not be acceptable or will be a grave, serious mistake in eyes of nature as well as in eyes of society. And if I keep mum which most of the American parents have to do because they have the belief that we can't say anything to children and children are not going to listen to us, or they will call, I don't know, 108, or what do they call upon, I don't know, have forgotten. But here is my duty as as a father, as a mother, and here is my inner penance also. First, I have to do the inner penance with my own self. Unbearable situation. In Gujarati, we say kehvai nahi ne sehvai nahi. Neither we can convey, neither we can bear within ourselves. So here I have to do my inner penance, sort out within myself what needs to be done, what is the correct way, what is not correct way, scientifically understand all facets, take my time, build up the inner energy, lovingly, most caringly, most sharingly, sit with my daughter or a son, put my hand on the shoulders, say that I believe that you will trust me, that we have good relations and good intents. If you have that much trust, if we have that much hearty relation, would you mind that we discuss something mutually? So first the other person has to feel love in your role, has to feel that your intents are good, has to feel that your heart is good, and then you have to discuss that okay beta, you are doing this, you may be feeling it is right in your circumstances, your atmosphere may be pressing you, all the friends may be doing the same way, but if we look from the perspective of nature, if we look from the perspective of the truth, probably this may be harmful, this way, this may be damaging, this way, and ultimately you can say it gives me a lot of pain. I'm always wishing that I encourage you and I never tell you like this, but even with pain, I felt like expressing or doing my duty for good of both of us. And I pray Mother Nature that it gives you enough strength to take the best decision. So this is how, with a lot of inner penance, I have to do my duty. But before doing duty, I have to work a lot within. Even I would go one step ahead and say that even before I communicate it out, I will pray to the pure self within. I'll pray to the supreme self, whomsoever I believe, that give me such a strength that these words make may make him or her understand properly, may touch hearts, and O Mother Nature, Supreme Self, and O Pure Self sitting within him or her, give the best possible light so that he or she can decide a good path in his or her interest. Similarly, there may be situation at the job if you are in charge and some malified things are being done by other people, and you feel that if I don't do the corrective steps at this step, I'll miss my dharma or my moral principle duty. There it is needed that I should speak. Yes, the way I can decide. So not to speak is a double fault comes into play, especially when the matter of principles come in, when my role or duty is so important, and especially the first priority is for the eternal principles or the eternal things like the conscious and prakriti or the eternal things are concerned. And there may be different types of gurus, some correct and some non-correct. And if I keep mum, a lot of people may be misdirected or misguided. So knowingly to keep mum, that who enters into all this jugglery, let them do whatever they want to do, is sort of missing onto my duty. But at the same time, I have to take proper time to find out that is it my belief or is it really so? And if it is really so, let me do inner penance so that I can convey, but in such a wonderful way that it does not do other way around. So to speak is a single fault is in my all daily interconnected living when my speech becomes harsh or hurtful to others. And not to speak double fault applies to the matter of principles, especially when they are the principles of eternity or the such things. And then when I'm duty bound, when I have important duty or a moral duty to do, in a given particular role, maybe as a manager of the company, maybe as a parent, maybe as a whatever, wherever I am. And if I don't speak because I don't want to get into all these troubles, let me say that way, inner or outer, then it becomes a double fault. So this is how all the while these sort of situations keep on coming within and without, and this is where it asks for all understanding, all awareness, resolves, continuous working within, cleansing actions, and lot many things before really my speech can reach near the ideal. I would say not ideal, but before it travels towards ideal. Let me put it that way. Before my communication starts traveling towards ideal, I have to work a lot within, first by way of understanding the science of communication and speech generation and speech expression, then to have the understanding, then to have the results, then to have the cleansing process, then to take the time and do the inner penance, so that my art of communication starts approaching or going towards ideal. So this is how science culminates into art of communication or art of speech, but it's a result of overall what is happening within. So even I would put the last summarizing statement that one who has little understanding power from the sentence the other person speaks can judge at what level the other person is, what level of understanding, what level of inner development, what level of thing he or she is, can be understood by somebody who has that sort of understanding level. So your speech can become a thermometer or a barometer or a yardstick to measure the person overall. We don't want to be judgmental, but this is the science which I'm trying to explain for myself as well as for others. So how does it work? And this is how it can be at the extreme of the speech of the enlightened ones, or the speech of such a wise people. Why they may not be enlightened, but if you see across the world, there are so many good people working for good cause, and so many people I can see. Louis C. Hay, there are so many self-development people even in USA, and they attract a lot many people. Thousands and thousands of people love to listen to them. They get benefited by them. They get some improvement by them because they have worked upon their inside. They have that some sort of insights. They have the inner codes that if they can be instrumental for good living of the others. So even in a daily living world, that works. And if you have the sort of fortune to have the inner insight or enlightenment or self-realization, then it works all the best.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that helps a lot.
Okay. Thank you, Sailesh Anandji, as always, for answering our questions. We had a great audience this time around. I think we had people from 3 continents. So it's Sailesh Anandji from India, and then we had Amita Ben from New Zealand, and the rest of us from the US. So we'll continue our conversation on the principles of holistic science next month. It would be 3rd week of June, which is June 19th. And again, we covered a lot of ground. We talked about speech, the aspects of speech, how speech is formed, how speech can be improved, how speech can be used in our relationships, both at home and at work. And then lastly, we heard Sailesh Anandji expound on one of the key aphorisms on speech as far as holistic science is concerned. So look forward to our conversation next month. Until then, good night. Thank you.